Welcome to Behind the BNB podcast, where we go beyond the bookings and take you inside the real stories, strategies, and struggles behind every Airbnb success. I'm your host, Steph Murphy, and each week we will sit down with real hosts, industry experts, and inspiring guests to uncover what really goes on behind the scenes of short-term rentals. Whether you're just getting started, scaling your property portfolio, or simply love a good story, you'll find practical tips, honest conversations, and a few laughs along the way. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's go behind the BNB. So hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Behind the BNB. I'm your host, Steph Murphy, and today I'm joined by...
So James.
Hey, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
So good. I feel privileged. Behind the BNB. We're going to unpack it all.
Yes, we are. With our special guest all the way from Sydney today, Cash and Eilish.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Nice to have you guys here.
Thank you for having us. So good to be here.
It's an amazing feeling when, like, we've been talking obviously on Zoom for months and months.
Correct.
Become good friends.
Right.
And now you're here in the flesh.
The flesh. Yeah.
It's so different, isn't it? It's like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just nice, to be able to meet in
nothing.
Really.
And I think also like that happened a lot with COVID, right? Everything moved to online, but nothing beats face to face.
Nothing beats it. So
always
right
going to be
about
the
that.
best.
Yeah.
Good question. I think actually, like, you know the height thing when you meet someone on Zoom?
Yeah.
And then you really realize.
What are you going to say?
No, I was going to play it safe and be like, to be honest, like, both of you are about what I was thinking, you know? So,
oh my God. I actually thought it was really short.
She's like,
I said it to Cash.
What made you think that though?
I don't know. But I always think about that. I always judge people from like Instagram or whatever, and I'm like,
That's so good.
short.
so I'm not sure.
No, you're not short.
Only 6 foot.
And you're taller than I thought as well.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you always say I'm quite short, especially when I don't have heels on or anything. And,
yeah.
But Steph's mum's very tall.
Yeah,
so.
my parents are tall.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's just like, because I feel like maybe it's a Sydney thing. I'm not sure. No offense to anyone in Sydney, but everyone is very short. I feel like if I put heels on, I'm like looking down on all these little people down around me.
That's so funny. That was, I won't talk about that, but I'm just glad he's taller. So when we were dating, it was like, okay, great, he's tall. So when I have
that's
heels,
the biggest
they're
thing.
still tall.
Like,
that's like,
tall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my partner's like 6'1" or 2.
Okay, that's good.
So it has to.
Minimum. He's still taller. Yeah. All right, should we get into Airbnb?
Get into it.
So, you guys you're the founders of One Luxe Stay.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your backgrounds first before you started your Airbnb business, actually. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. So
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, originally I'm country girl. So born and raised in country New South Wales. I think I moved to Sydney when I was probably about 16.
When we say country, have country.
Yeah, like Emu Farm country.
That's
country.
Like, we still have pet sheep.
Wow.
My family still have pet sheep.
Wow.
But you know what? Like, so grateful. It was the best. I guess it was the best of both worlds to have that really down to earth upbringing, and then obviously move to the city at that age where you need more opportunity. Was perfect.
And when you say like down to earth, like middle class farm, like how did you grow up? Like, did you have a lot, a little?
I wouldn't say we had a lot, but I would say that we were pretty happy.
Yeah.
And even my family now, like they've all done so well with, their lives and their careers. And, but I think it's just a different mindset down there because, for instance, growing up, you're happy to go get on a dirt bike or a quad bike or go fishing with your family, and that's enough. And that's like so satisfying. So it's good to understand and come from money's not everything. It's important, but it's not everything.
Yeah. What made you leave?
Well, so
Yeah, why did you leave? What made you leave?
So my mum's down there, so on my mum's side, which is that's a large part of my family.
Yeah.
And then my dad's in Sydney.
Okay.
So it was time for me to move out from my mum and then move in with dad, which was like a whole thing as well, because obviously I'd only just been with my mum. But yeah, so that was pretty much where I came from.
Yeah.
And then obviously started to get into working, and then I met Cash that way as well. So Cash and I met when we were super young. We were like
I love
18.
this story of how you guys met. Yeah.
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 But I'll let you talk about your background.
So I'm Cash. I'm 28, born in Sydney, raised in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Macau. So I moved to Macau along to Hong Kong when I think I was like really, really young, because my dad's a jockey, rides horses, now retired. And I moved back to Sydney when I was around, in year 8. Okay. So it was, unfortunately, my parents got divorced. So we moved back and I did the rest of my schooling in Sydney.
Did you ride when you were younger?
I had no interest.
That's so funny.
So funny.
Literally, no,
I tried to teach my son my ways, and it's just like they just do their own thing.
Yeah. I just, never had any interest. I used to watch him on telly and support him, of course, but just never my thing. I think I was also too tall as well. My father's a lot shorter than me. And, did my rest of my schooling in Sydney. And then that's obviously going into Eilish and we met at Mondio, which was our second sales job. It was over the phone sales, acquisition, so cold calling. So people would literally sign a petition or win
something completely unrelated.
Literally nothing to do with the organization that we're calling on behalf of.
Like an accidental disclosure of information, and you put like mail calling.
And we're like, hey, did you want to support this charity on a monthly basis?
The conversion rate was like 1 in 100, literally. So the rejection was through the roof. And I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah. So how you guys met? Yeah.
So I mean, Cash was already working there, and I had just started. And it was like, this call center. So heaps of young people, heaps of travelers. And there was a lunchroom, and I like walked in all confident, and Cash walks in and just looks at me and locks eyes and was like, oh my gosh, you look like Gigi Hadid. We have to be friends. And ever since then, it was like you were glued to the hip. That was it.
Oh, I love that. And that was, you guys were 18 at the time as well.
18. So, and I think like, it's funny because like we even spoke about it this morning when we were on our walk, but like it's so rare to meet someone that young and grow in the same direction together. Like he's been through so much, I've been through so much, we've been with each other throughout that whole thing, but like also still growing together.
I love that.
And then I think obviously getting into business together was like, and heaps of people said, oh, you shouldn't get in business with your friends, But there is absolutely no one else that I trust more in this world than Cash. And I know him.
Yeah.
Like I know how his brain works before he's even said anything. Do you know what I mean? So it's actually the best person to get into business with, because we also know what our strengths are, and we play on that. So like, he's very good at some things, and that's where he shines, and he takes full ownership and control. And then I'm very good at other things, and I take full ownership and control. And I think that's how we've done well.
That's brilliant, because I think you need to know each other's strengths. So it's good that that's clear, and you guys have clearly communicated that to each other. Because I think when each one, because, we're obviously business partners or built a business together, when you each have your focuses, you focus on that.
That's true.
And then she doesn't interfere. And then I think it reduces the conflict. I mean, the conflict will come, but
I think it did at the start.
It did at the start, for sure. There was a few.
We're like, oh my God, what are you doing? We're all, so
and business is like partnership in business is like marriage. Like it's not.
We've learned that.
We're married, all right.
I've been together for a while.
We have. Wouldn't happen any other way though, for sure.
I love that. So how did you come into Airbnb, in the Airbnb space? Who got the idea, or where the idea
so I think it really started about when we were 24 and 25. Airbnb it didn't come into mind straight away. It was like, how do we make more money? You know what I mean? It was like the cost of living. It was like, we just want to build not build something, but kind of just, we wanted more for ourselves at such a young age. And we saw people driving all these beautiful cars, living the life. And we're like, in our 9 to 5, I don't think this is possible. Like, something just didn't make sense. It was like, these people, now we know they're business owners and entrepreneurs and building things, like that's the way to build wealth, not to work for someone else. And I think when that clicked, it was like, aha, that was our moment. But we then dabbled in drop shipping. That failed, unfortunately. And it was more or less
which is fine, right?
It's part of it. Exactly. It's a part of the ride and the journey. But there was a lot of things that were out of our control, like Facebook ads and things like that. One day they'd be working, the next day they wouldn't. It was just this mental roller coaster. We're like, wait, what? This is something not tangible. We're like, we need something a bit more tangible, something a bit more we can control.
And consistent as well, right?
Yeah, true. Exactly right. And then we came across... it was at a time where we were just like, we're literally fed up. We're like, what is it? So then we started liking all these posts about people making money online, so that the Instagram algorithm started feeding us. Yes. And then we came across an entrepreneur who had built his business in America, and it was an Airbnb business. And we're like, is this legal? Like, what do you mean rental arbitrage?
So many people asked at first, it's like, how is this possible?
Yeah, exactly.
But then even after that, it was like we started finding heaps of them. Yeah. There was like millionaires everywhere in the US from
Your eyes were open.
And it's huge in the USA, right? And that's what's interesting is like, even when, for me, a lot of traffic on my way, obviously with the Instagram profile, etc. But it's like, people are surprised when it's like, oh, this is happening in Australia.
Yes.
Right? So with that, like, how is that kind of realization of we could actually do that here in Australia?
I mean, we were so excited, I think. And back to, I know, like, one of the biggest struggles when we did start was trying to convert everything from the US terms to Australian terms. Cash and I are like not experienced at all in business as is.
Correct. So it was the business world, trying to understand that, but also like setting up a business, but then it's also the business model in itself too. So we're like...
And the structure, strategy. But then another thing was, we found out really quickly that we are one of the first ones in Australia to be doing this. So there was like no one to really fall back on. Which was also scary, right? Because, you know, you're signing agreements, you're taking these risks, you're putting heaps of money on the table, and you don't even know. Nothing's guaranteed.
But you're pioneers, right? And that's powerful. So
one thing we had was just the determination and the mindset. We're just like, let's just do it. Like, people overseas are doing it. Like, obviously, we read all the laws and the regulations, and we did our research, and we're like, okay, let's just jump into it. So we kind of winged it for such a long time. And that's why we joined the mentorship as well.
Which was when? So when did you do that?
That was in 2023.
2023.
Start off.
And then you acquired a couple of properties.
So not for a little while. Not for a little while. So we did that course in like the start of 2023. We didn't get our first until August 23. But that was okay, because it was taking us a long time just to get everything like structured and set up. And there's so many things.
You said you did all the research, regulations,
and correct things properly. In the past, when we did drop shipping and everything, it was like, let's just make money.
It
wasn't actually like, okay,
let's set this up as a type of business.
And this time around, we're like, no, we're going to do things from the offset, correct? Because if we eventually go into that, you know, into the business that way, everything will just flow.
More
and
prepared.
Correct. Exactly.
So how did you come across James Murphy?
I mean, you were included in one of those little Instagram, we were like a fan of, I guess.
I came into the algorithm, invaded your place.
You did. You planted yourself in there. So we know that, you know, when you start to focus on something, you just want it to be surrounded everywhere. And it's just the only thing that you're thinking about, talking about, breathing, eating, everything. So we tried to follow as many people that really inspired us and we could learn from, because a lot of those people in the industry were doing short videos and giving hot tips and things like this. So we did that, and you were included in that. And then, you know, we saw you on another podcast, and we were very interested in Dubai. We've always been interested in potentially moving to Dubai once everything is a bit more established. And then, it just sort of happened. And, you know, the mentorship came up, and we wanted to partner with somebody who was a bit more hands-on, involved, also understands the Australian market.
That was the biggest thing.
That was the biggest thing, because we would ask, our first mentor questions, and he's got no idea
About Australia.
He's got no idea about Australia. And that was really frustrating. I remember at the start, that was probably one of the biggest things where I was constantly angry, because we were wasting a lot of money. We were paying people in real estate or something else to try and give us advice on very basic things. And no one understood it. No one understood it. No one knew.
Yeah.
So we were just completely on our own.
Especially when you're paying for something, you expect to get something back in return.
At what point because I think you guys started following before we moved back to Australia,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, correct.
So at what point did the kind of penny drop? Okay, Jane and Steph are now in Australia, and that shift.
I think when you started to put that on Instagram,
right,
we were like,
They're in Australia.
they're moving to Perth.
When you did, we're this is our moment.
Yeah, this is
literally so aligned, because we wanted someone here in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think we had a couple of calls, and everything was
Yeah,
just...
I was in that room, and I remember it because early days of us having moved here, when I was still this room here, I was still using.
Still setting up the house.
Yeah, before I went.
You did that.
into
I was setting up the house. Anyway,
so I remember it was early days of us being here, and so it's kind of like a little fond memory of early days set up for us. But yeah, obviously I had a great chat, and I think the desire that you have to obviously scale and grow was so clear.
Yeah, so that was only just last year, towards the end of last year. You said it was November, December time. Yeah. And you already had a property before you jumped on a call with him.
We've got 4.
You've got 4.
Correct.
And you had the 4 before you...
We did.
Yeah, before you met. Okay, so let's talk about One Luxe Stay. So where did the name come about? How did you guys decide on it?
a lot of back and forth on Google. That name came about.
Yeah.
I think we were
ChatGPT, actually.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
we were researching for a long time.
You must have been early adopters with ChatGPT if you were using it back then.
Yeah.
I
think we were.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we wanted something. Cash is very particular about things like that, and we wanted something that really connects with us, that we liked, and yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, obviously, because we were setting up our ABN and our PTY, and we came across it, and it stuck, and then we did the website and the domain email and all these sort of things. So it was, I guess,
what sounded right for you guys.
Yeah,
you both agreed on.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of back and forth.
Even the names of our properties that are on that are on the platforms, Cash and I'll say something, he's like, no. And then he'll say something and I'm like, no. So we're just constantly going back and forth, but we get there in the end.
Yeah.
And let's just very quickly break that name down. One Lux is the idea, that it's that kind of unique, the word one. Was that the purpose behind it, or did it literally just it rolled off the tongue?
I think one, as in One Lux, is it's a bit of an elegant, very professional way to say. Obviously, Lux is the experience that we want to provide. And I guess the quality and the effort and the standards that we put in, that's Lux. Yeah. And then Stay.
Yeah, I love it. Because to me, I read it as one of a kind,
Very true.
one of a kind luxury.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was intended, but that's how it comes across to me.
I love
and
that.
I think that it really stands out.
And
Thank
speaking
you.
of that, we'll get some images up on the screen of your properties as well.
Sounds
and
good.
how they're decorated.
Love that.
Who does all that?
I think we both do.
Yeah.
Majority Cash.
Yeah.
But
We own that.
I wouldn't say I'm an interior designer, but when I was in high school, I always wanted to be an interior designer.
Oh, same. Did I ever tell you that?
No, you
No,
didn't.
yeah.
Actually, I think you told me that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wanted
was
to
always
say for a moment that I was the interior designer guy, but it's I'm not.
Actually,
No one
would believe you. Yeah.
So I just have an eye. I'm just really creative. So I can walk into a room and be like, boop, 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 and it just comes to me instantly. It's really weird. And so that's where I tend to gravitate towards those type of things. meetings where I can put Eilish into any room and she's like best friends with people. I'm like, I tend to shy away. I'm like, oh my God, that's my worst nightmare. So yeah, that's kind of, I take the lead, but at every step of the way before I make the decision and pay and tap, we always come together and, you know, we paint the picture. I paint the picture for him. Like, this is how it's going to look. You know, we're very visual people. And we always work together to ensure that every decision we make is combined. So we're both happy.
I love that. Should we talk about the first property, how you acquired that? Because a lot of people, you know, who are watching this, they're like, yes, tell us how you get your first property, because that's always the challenge. The first one.
It was obviously scary, right? Because you're thinking like how, where's it going to come from? How's it going to happen? And I think so. Cash and I are very different, very opposites. I was telling everyone that I just started a business. This is what my business is. And just constantly talking to everyone about it. Where Cash was like, I'm not telling anyone until we've actually done it. And so,
because you know when there's that saying when you talk about something, you don't end up doing it, that kind of vibe, you know. So I was like, I'm not going to say anything.
Was there any like imposter syndrome vibes for either of you? Like, as in like, we're going out to try and acquire this property, but we have like no.
That was always in the back of my mind. Totally. And I'm like, if they ask us a question, we don't have to answer it. Like, I was so scared.
I think this is where I shine.
I was just going to say, I didn't see
she comes into play
at all. So
there's no imposter for you. You're like, this is my destiny.
And like, it's funny too, because I even like, Cash likes to be very prepared. Like, he likes a script. He likes. Like they'll ask me this and I'll respond with this, and that's how it goes down every time. I am like, I don't want to be prepared. I like being caught off guard. Put me on the spot, and I guarantee that's the best way.
And that's how you shine.
It's really weird, but I'm like, I perform best under pressure and stress. And anyway, so definitely, and that's why I think, you know, I was telling everybody, and Cash wasn't. It's just the way that we were. But the best thing ever was me telling everyone, because my friend called me who works in real estate and said, hey, are you still doing that business thing that we discussed at the gym or whatever? And I said, yeah, I am. And he was like, I think I might potentially have a property for you.
That is great.
Awesome. And then obviously there was a few phone calls, and, you know, I remember like pacing around my kitchen, and I've got the phone on loudspeaker, and Cash is sitting there like for the first phone call, and I just did it.
It was a moment.
And was this with the agent? Or?
This was with the landlord.
Okay. So your friend introduced you to
the landlord, and the tenant was my friend's friend. It's a bit hard to break down, but and then so I went and met with the landlord, and she's very well known in Sydney and in the Northern Beaches. She also bought her husband and her father, so her father owns the whole building, and it was just little old me. And
how was that pressure for you?
It was honestly, it was fine.
Gosh,
I reassured her about, because she was worried about parties, and she was worried about people getting in and out of the property. So it was more so about those sort of things. And then we literally agreed on the price there and then.
Oh wow!
And we moved in like not long after. And I remember leading that meeting and calling Cash and being like, we've got it. It's game time.
Which is huge. And I think, just pause on that for a second, because congrats on obviously getting it over the line, and obviously it all kicking off. But it's that first property, to achieve that with no like track record, etc. It just goes to show that with little experience, you know, if you take the time to talk through concerns with a landlord or an agent, and kind of, you know, provision acceptable explanations for the thing that they're concerned about and all that sort of thing, that people through relationship will trust, you know.
And you were prepared because you've done your research, everything. You knew exactly what you were talking about. And I think you were armed with that. You went in, and that's how you got over the line. So that's great.
And then, and it followed through from that, right? Like the next landlord we've got 3 with.
Yeah. Is it the same landlord or a different one?
Different landlord.
Yeah. And then the opportunities just start coming in.
And that's 2 really big things, because firstly, it was personal network. So, you know, you might only be a couple of steps away.
Well, like Eilish said, you got to tell everyone what you're doing. I mean, Cash doesn't agree, but
now it's different.
Now it's
right?
different.
Before,
I think he just had to prove it to himself.
Yeah,
because this was a thing.
First step.
Yeah. Whereas I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Fails, does it, I'm doing it, let's go. I need to tell everybody.
And that's what makes a good business partnership, I think, because James, you guys similar, and I'm the one who's like, okay, wait, we need to have all this aligned.
Yes.
But, yeah.
I know, I'm just like, let's get out there, let's make it happen, let's cause chaos, you know.
I'll scream from the rooftops.
Yeah, it's because it can be a risk, you know, and I'm always like, can we do calculated risk rather? Like, just do it. No, it's fine. It's a good partnership.
Yeah, even just now, like the last week, we've had a few properties reveal themselves to us, and I'm just like, I'm just so ready to jump in. And Cash is like, no, we need to analyze it. We need to put the numbers out. I'm like,
which we're gonna look at some of that later, right? Do a bit of masterminding later on and make sure the deal stack up. The other thing that was amazing though, in this, just with this example of the second landlord that ended up leading to 3 properties, right?
And it could have been more. Easily.
And that's it. I just think it's really great to kind of pause on these things because one relationship has turned into 3 properties, could have been more, as you said. And it's like, I truly believe that people are often only 1 or 2 relationships away from building something significant.
Yeah, changing their life.
Yeah, and a portfolio landlord or a developer or someone that's connected to someone in your circle or network, and that can be as simple as the pathway that ends up building you your business, right?
So true.
And imagine if you just stay stuck in fear, right? Because you're afraid, I'm sure. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe talk about, because like we need, because even with Steph and I, we had this moment when we were so broke.
Yeah.
Our expenses monthly were more than what we earned. And I remember with Sheffield and Cambridge, which were the first 2 that we took on, we finished Cambridge and we pressed submit for it to go live on Airbnb. And back then it was pretty much instant. We got in the car to go on the motorway and drive home. We stopped at the service station, and I remember I was talking, and we were panicked. We were like, we committed to this rent. What if the bookings don't come in?
So
What if the bookings don't come in?
cheapest rank in Cambridge.
We had all of that. And I'll tell you just a little quick story with us. So we had all of that, well and truly, and we weren't in a good financial position either. So we were taking a lot of personal debt, personal credit cards. Is our business, I mean, anyone in Australia, it's not like the US and things like that, very hard to get approved for credit, especially business credit. So we were, using our personal credit score to get credit cards to be able to fund this. And when we did go live, it was like, it was a little while until we got a couple of bookings, but we had no settings set up. So we were getting one-nighters and our pricing wasn't set up. So we were getting booked for someone made a booking and it was like $80 for the night. We were like, what have we done? Like, make it stop. We need to cancel these bookings. So it was just,
I want to point out this is pre James Murphy.
Yes,
of course.
We don't let that stuff go down.
because we did that, we learned, and now we're like, don't do that to me.
Yeah, but we did have that support from the mentor in the US, but the support from the mentor in the US wasn't like what we have.
Great.
It was, here's a platform of hours and hours of content, go watch it and good luck.
Yeah.
So there was so much that we had to just like fail at and learn from it, and we have, which we're not angry about either, because I'm so, it's bound to happen. And now we know I guess our non-negotiables, things that we can't, just fluff over. We need to make sure that we've got everything in place before anything goes live, etc.
Exactly.
And way before it was
Cash and I love those words, systems and process.
Whereas I'm like, turns me on, know what to apply.
So all of that fear, and then you got the booking started to happen,
in.
right?
Yeah.
So at what point?
Mia was our first nurse.
I have to say, on Airbnb, it takes about 24 to 72 hours, right?
Yeah.
For it to actually show.
Yeah.
So we're like, wait, what have we done? We're not getting booked. I'm literally having a mental breakdown. I was like,
Not realizing that it's not even live yet.
Whereas I'm just like, it's fine. It's so fine.
And then when we get that first ding,
It was, I'll never forget her name. I've probably still got the screenshot to this day. And Mia.
Oh,
I mean, I remember last time because we could shout out to you, Mia.
And if we go back for a moment to like Cambridge, when we were at that service station, we'd been talking about how we were panicked about what if we can't pay our rent.
Sorry, I don't remember this, but anyway, you carry on.
That's normal, Steph. Let's be honest, that's normal.
Okay, so we pulled over to the train
Steph
station.
doesn't remember our 1 year anniversary or anything, so
Oh, I do remember that.
you don't remember me proposing to you, all of that stuff. But anyway, no, she does.
No, that's over the top. I'm like, come on.
So anyway, we were very fortunate because the ding happened for us. 31 night booking, first booking.
Wow.
It was the rent was I think £1,200 or something like that, and we got a booking for £3,300.
Wow.
Which is about.
Well, covered the rent because the rent was like two.
Well, I think it was about £1,300, £1,400 profit, and so we were like we were high fiving, celebrating.
Yeah, like you guys would have been with me.
Yeah.
We were. We
Actually,
actually FaceTime straight
very
away.
recently, I think we told you just when we sat down recently is one of our listings went under renovation and we just put it back onto Airbnb bookings.com.
But we did it all fresh again.
Yeah, so we started fresh, new PID, strata number, everything. And the place went live and we got our first booking, which was a long stay. Which
It was like 23 days.
yeah, and we're like, oh my
Amazing.
God,
Yeah, it
this
was
is
great.
incredible. So yeah, we had that moment. I was like,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, especially when that a longer term stay comes in, so
It's like relief,
more
right?
and covers the rent
correct.
as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you end up making that profit, you're like,
yeah.
"Oof, okay."
There's only one clean.
Yeah, we're not the month of May. We are good. Yeah.
So true.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so true.
Yeah, I love that.
And at what point did it become like the fear was sort of exchanged for we can trust that this is now working because like it's flowing and the occupancy's there. When did that?
I think probably after like the second, Cash and I were like, this can work.
This actually works.
If we build it and we scale.
But you know, you have to, there's a process in place, right? Like you have to make sure there's photos, the photos are great,
Yeah, let's talk
professionally
about
done,
all of that, like,
you know, property style,
what you need to get sorted
amenities. Like
out.
there's so many things that go into it.
Yeah.
So I think once we had that blueprint, you know, and we followed that.
That's it. Yeah.
We're like, okay, cool. Other people, when they follow this blueprint, they're successful. We're bound to be successful as
That's
well.
it.
So, when we first started, we went in blind, literally, but we've learnt so much. And now we're like so confident. The minute we had that, you know, that foundation there, we're like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
You're good to go.
And even just that first property.
Exactly.
And then the second one, then, well, you got three in the next time round.
You know, you take a deep dive into it, the rabbit hole, and you build the systems and the processes, and you have price labs, and you do the research beforehand, and you know, you have team members. It just everything flows and it makes sense. And you're like, okay, cool, this is a proper business now.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's talk a little bit about that then, the system and process side of things. So you've got team, you've got cleaning. Let's talk the cleaning. So when you initially started, they were doing the clean.
we did. Yeah, and
How
it
would
was
you even do
honestly
that with your full-time job? It's crazy.
I wouldn't. That makes me turn in my grave.
We never cleaned. We never did a clean, did we? We never.
Did you do the cleaning?
We never
No,
did
because
cleans. Yeah.
I'm like, for me, I was taught this mantra, like, it's not about doing the work, but it's about making sure the work gets done.
Right.
So I've always had that like mindset with everything that we've done. Right.
Yeah, whereas I'm the kind of person to be like, I'll go clean, I'll go get it done. And he's like, no, we'll hire someone.
Yeah.
But how did you guys manage that?
it wasn't by choice.
Yeah.
It was definitely, we were put in a situation where we didn't really have a choice. So our first cleaning team was great. However,
Very expensive.
and it was just very hard to communicate with them and I guess them really understand what we needed, and there was always so much back and forth. It was just very hard. So
Especially because you were kind of new, you were really paving the way for this in
we
Sydney.
also we did a lot of research as well, and we reached out to a lot of cleaners, and they were kind of all around that price range. Now, it was like $165 a clean, keeping in mind, which is absurd that we even paid.
and
that
this
much.
was also at the time where I was washing all the linen.
Correct.
So I was going to the units and picking up like all the towels, all the sheets. I was washing it. I had sheets and dinner covers hanging all over my house.
Oh my God.
I didn't own a dryer.
Yeah.
Did not own a dryer.
And this is definitely a what not to do.
What not to do?
Correct.
Do not do this. But we had no choice, right? And then it was like, you know, I was so under pressure because it's like, oh my God, how many people are checking in this day? Okay, yep, this day. Oh, so I need another dinner cover. Yep, another 2 towels. Like,
Was it ever to the point where you're like, the linen's not even dry yet? You can't
like,
put on
yeah,
the bed.
a couple of times for sure.
And this is so important because I think there's like people can look at Airbnb and it like envisage that that's what it's going to look like, right?
And that completely put them off.
And it totally puts them off. So it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that.
No, it shouldn't be like that. I think, and look, it's all a learning curve, but I think, you know, Cash and I, we found it quite difficult to find a good cleaning partner, for the right price. And as we were scaling, we didn't, you know, have heaps of money to just be throwing at cleaners for bookings.
Yeah.
So we have now found our perfect partner. She is amazing. Shout out to Fee and Nathan. We like her so much.
Yeah.
Could not do this without you.
Nate.
So anyone that's in the Sydney area can
Do not steal.
No, do not go near them.
Okay, yeah. So we don't want to promote
No.
that. We don't want to promote that.
No.
Only if they've got time to clean.
Don't have time.
Yeah, yeah.
No. We took them for like we had a beautiful
It's a business partnership, right?
and we've told them we're growing.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need more heads on deck. We need
Yeah.
you're our partner. You're not leaving us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really big thing though, the fact that you guys did go through the process of cleaning the properties yourself, like I imagine that's actually now quite powerful because you yourselves have gone, what does that process look like?
Oh, yeah, we
what
know.
does perfect look like?
Yeah.
And you and I do think it is important. So one thing I will say, even though I said delegate, etc., like we made sure that we walked through with the cleaners and it's like, this is how we expect the cleaning to take place. This is the level of detail.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important, right? To make sure that you're able to hold the cleaning team to that level of accountability. Right?
Totally.
Yeah, we fully micromanage them for the first like 20 cleans.
You need to do that.
literally.
And also, like, Cash, even still to this day, Cash is very onto it. Like, Fee, have you uploaded the photos? Like, we need to check the photos.
I want everything done. And like, it's first impressions, right? Like, we present properties in a particular way, especially on Airbnb, bookings.com, etc. So when they walk in, I need them to even look even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there cannot be hair on the table. You know, the toilet paper has to be rolled a particular way. The beds have to be presented a particular way.
Because we're about those reviews. We need those reviews.
Well, we're built on reviews, right? Like, we need those 5 stars, especially for the first couple.
And cleanliness is everything, right?
Absolutely.
You know, even more so.
That's
I feel
almost
like.
without saying. It should just be. That's what's standard.
Yeah. Oh, you'd be
minimum
surprised.
requirement. Oh, we've stayed in some Airbnbs and we're like, oof. I'm like,
And look, being honest, in those early days, right, there were times that cleaners got it wrong, and and there are some disaster moments that can occur if that happens, right? If something slips through the crack, especially as you're scaling, and there's a scenario where things aren't done to the right standard and right level, it is horrible to have
like
to.
Eilish said, you do need to micromanage a little bit in the beginning, so they know exactly
And at the
what.
end
No
the
one
day-
wants that phone call from the guest. It's like, this is not cool. Like,
At the end of the day as well, it's our business.
That's
it's
it.
our brand. And it's our name on the bottom of our property.
Faces, yeah.
So, sorry if we're micromanaging you, but this is how it needs to be.
Yeah.
and that spirit is what's going to obviously build huge success for you guys as you continue, you know. So don't ever lose that.
No.
Because the one thing I know on the other side is, you know, the bigger it gets, the, you know, you've got to build even more system to obviously make sure that those things are in control.
So let's talk about that. The bigger it gets. So what's sort of what you want to achieve? Like, what is the dream?
We're currently
We want to go 0 to 100 really quickly. But seriously, like, our goal right now is 40.
Yeah.
Like, we are not stopping until we
the
get
end
there.
of this year?
I mean, look, I don't want it to be like building like crazy and we're under so much stress and the processes aren't there.
Correct.
We want to build it obviously scale largely, but we also want to build it in a way where the processes are strong. It's automated. We're working with AI. We've got support. We've got good teams in place. We want to stay in Sydney, but we also want to go outside to different places in Australia as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's, you know, we're really good at the front end of things, you know, talking to landlords, real estate agencies, styling and all of that and market research. It's more or less, okay, now we need to hire the right people. Okay.
You need to build your team.
We need to build the teams. We need to ensure processes and systems are put in place correctly. That's something that we're not strong at. So it's like, okay, we need to ensure that those, like the foundation's there.
Yeah.
And we build and build and build. We don't want to scale so quickly and then we've got nothing's there and then we fall back.
And it's just all messy.
And we don't need that.
We've been in mess.
Yeah.
We don't want to go back.
That it's
No.
Yeah.
So
But I think, look, I know you just made a comment then, like, we're not that good at processes. I think we are. And I think obviously with James,
it's not our strong suit.
It's not our strong suit, but I think we've now partnered with the right people to help us.
And that's
to guide us.
important
And
part.
to say, you know, you need to move this around or you need to sign up to this on a month, whatever it might be, right? Because we're so open to it. Anything that's going to help our business move more smoothly, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So we've understood from an early point, we need support. We can't do this on our own.
Yeah,
And we want to be
exactly.
with the best. We want to partner with the best. We want to, like, I remember the first few phone calls we had with you, I was like, I just want to be a sponge.
Yeah.
Just tell me everything you know, give me your whole brain. And how did you do it? Like, do you know what I mean? Because we just
of your brain have you given?
because we just wanted to just like copy
Take it all in.
everything.
And you go,
And then I make it so unglamorous because I'm like, okay, let's talk about your profit and loss. You know,
but no one's talked about
But we need that. Yeah, we need that. And honestly, anyone listening, like, you need to have a partner. You need to be working with somebody that is more experienced than you, that's more advanced and that's been through it all so they can guide you. Because there's been so many times where before we had you, it was a nightmare. And then sometimes Cash and I would clash because we both don't know what's going on. So it's like, how do we get through this? Let's fight about it because that sounds good.
especially if you want this to be a proper business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not just a little side hustle.
You need the knowledge.
You need the knowledge,
You
the
have to,
support,
and then implementing.
the guidance. And like we didn't know what a profit and loss was.
Yeah.
We're like, what?
Yeah. Now I
I know.
absolutely love it. We are so like profit, loss,
the end of
like
every
what's this price?
Yeah.
because the numbers tell the story. And
Absolutely.
I think that what's interesting is you guys obviously have big dreams and big goals. And you know my favourite saying, it's not actually my quote. It's no quote is our quote. It's always borrowed from someone else, right? That sometimes it takes a long time for things to happen quickly, right?
Yes.
And I think the idea now that we're working on with you guys is building these phenomenal foundations, right? Where we're getting everything in place.
Well, it's already in place.
And
building on it.
If we scale and everything's not dialed in, you scale something which, you know, we've had challenges with that, right?
Yes.
Scaling something where the cracks get bigger and bigger, you know, and it's like, let's do this right. Let's make sure that you guys have got kind of everything how it needs to be. But then when that's done correctly, the magic can happen very quickly. And I think we're sort of on the cusp now of like, I think with some of the things that are stirring.
I can really feel it.
Yeah.
Like I honestly and Cash has been saying this on and off for a little while, and I think I've been like, okay. But like just lately, I've been like, it's happening.
So one of the first things that we did when we started obviously our journey in the private mastermind was to talk through how far you want to take this. I know we've already touched that. You've said 40 properties is sort of the next phase and where we're heading towards. So we've mapped out our kind of strategic journey towards that target. And like with any business, you know, it's a big goal. It's not the end of where you want to take things. I know that you've got huge dreams for this. But like any business that's looking to expand and to grow and to do something significant, there's always more vision than resource, you know?
Yes.
And so in terms of like this next chapter and some of the opportunities that you're wanting to step into, when it comes to kind of funding growth, I know if even you look at the biggest corporations, they're always doing cap raises, you know, to allow the next chapter of the business to unfold. And so let's talk about that for a moment. You know, for you guys, like, are you wanting to just kind of like figure out doing this with kind of what's in your own hands, or are you a little bit open to maybe we could work with a bigger partner, an investor, you know?
So very good question. And I think that's something that we have discussed is, when we do want to build this business into something that's significant and very successful, we do understand and appreciate that we're going to have to partner with, you know, organizations and people to ensure that we grow in a healthy way. So it's definitely something that we're open to, and we're very, you know, we want the best people surrounding us. We want people that understand our vision, understand where we want to go, and want to be part of that journey with us. That's probably the number one most important thing. So very open to that.
And I think with that whole thing, like, I guess that side of things, there's roles in business, right? And I know, having, you know, a lot of traction with people watching our story, even in the people that reach out, there's those that want to build the business themselves. There's those that love the potential of the business, but they're busy. They've got their own businesses. They're you know, active investors, but they need to work with partners to make things happen on the ground. And then, you know, there's people out there that are looking for the other side, like they've got the resource, but they don't have the means, you know? And so if there is anyone, you know, in like that watches or in the audience that is looking at Cash and Eilish and going, what they've started here is great. You know, make sure you reach out to them or to me, and you know, we can connect. And
absolutely, very open to that.
Definitely, because I love the foundation that's already been set, and the goals that you already have, and the standard, the very high quality standard of One Luxe Stays already is something that you've established. And the passion and the drive is there. You guys are so ambitious. And so I love that, and I think it is such an opportunity for anyone watching this who are, you know, you're talking about that other side, the other people who have potentially some money, some capital, you know, that they're looking to invest. And we know that Airbnb is a high cash flow model. We continue to stay in it, and we keep doing that. So
as much as we go, maybe it's a new season, maybe we should, but it's like, when you know it works, and when you know the returns that you can, I will never graduate from Airbnb. That clear, I'll never graduate. It will always be part of my life.
Even with the property that we got now, like we're going to Airbnb that we're plans to go through, you know, for co-living. So that's something new, but we're not talking about that. So, but we know how profitable Airbnb can be. You know?
It's such a amazing business model.
It really is.
And honestly, there's been multiple times that Cash and I have been like, wow, we are just so grateful that we've picked this to be our baby. And I think the more that we've got into it, the more that we realize, like, we love it. Like, we're so passionate about this, and we cannot wait until this is our every single day. And we're doing this every day, and we're growing, and we're scaling, and we're traveling here, and we're setting up teams here. Like, that is like our everything. We cannot wait for it.
Well, especially to do it full time, right? Because you guys have full-time jobs, and you're still doing this. You're still building the business. So it's incredible.
So
what are you doing
anyone with an excuse they don't have the time, you make the time.
Well, and
you make the time. Look, you do.
Healthy soil is important, right? And one thing, as we've unpacked profit and loss and looked at your accounts, and you know, what I know is that you guys are doing a great job in terms of profitability in your properties, and so you've already got the proof of concept of what this can look like at really significant scale. You know, and that's the hardest part. Like, once you've proven profitability at a micro level, we can now take that macro. And so let's talk about that for a moment, right? The opportunity in Australia, I believe, is quite a unique opportunity. So I think it'd be worth touching for a little bit on just like the type of demand that you've seen with your properties.
I was also going to allude to that, the locations that they've got in mind as well.
And the future expansion. So like, how has performance been? Because I mean, it's your story to tell. Like,
so I mean, current performance, like, we're well above the average market occupancy rate. I think one thing that we understand is location is everything. Where we are at the moment is prime location, and it's got traffic 365
And where's that?
year round.
Northern
Manly.
Northern
Yeah.
Midlands.
But we're literally like in the middle. So like the beach is on one side, the ferry terminal's there. It's just like prime location.
It's prime location.
Yeah.
It's perfect location. And that's been a big thing for Cash and I. Like, you know, we want to expand, but we want to expand in only certain areas where we know it's going to be, the demand's there. So we've done a lot of research on different suburbs in Sydney. We've also looked at Queensland. We've looked at Melbourne. We've looked at, you know, different places around Australia, and we've picked the best suburbs. And
How come Perth didn't get a mention, by the way? How rude. Come on.
well, you're here this summer.
Exactly.
We're
You're
working
working
over.
Okay, fair
We don't
enough.
want to
Good
compete
answer.
with our mentor.
Good answer. Good answer.
But I think just to touch on that, we're in a little niche market, right? We're in the 1 bedrooms, 1 bathroom with a car spot, but we're able to accommodate up to 4 guests. A lot of 1 bedrooms, they just think, you know, it's just 2 people. But no, we're thought outside the box. And we're like, let's try and get as many people inside this apartment. Like, not like 6 people, but
Comfortable work.
But it's perfect for like a small family, right? Mum, dad, 2 kids on the sofa bed.
Yeah.
We've got cots, we've got, you know, high chairs, like, and it's perfect for like that small family that need to get away, or, you know, we've had so many returning guests where they have to come to Manly for like sports or something to do with their children. So, and then we also try to attract those business travelers. We've got a desk set up and we've got office and all of those sort of things. So we're trying to accommodate, you know, all walks of life.
guest.
And you're giving yourselves an edge, because in the market now, I always say a good business opportunity will always become saturated. So people go, Airbnb saturated, you know, Sydney saturated, but it's not the saturation, right? Because it's a great opportunity. But what you guys are doing is you are taking it to the next level. So there's nothing average about One Lux, you know, it's like you're premium, you've thought about the customer and the client and what they're going to need. Things like you've mentioned, the cot, the high chair, and it's that experience is what is commanding for you guys that high nightly rate. So then that hits your bottom line, you know, so you're able to charge, you know,
A premium.
more than the ones that sleep too.
Correct.
You're getting a premium off that.
Exactly.
And they're probably looking at your properties going, how are these guys producing this next level of profit, you know? But you're thinking those things through. You're going, what does the edge look like? And we want to keep pressing into that edge, you know?
But it is correct, right? Like there's so many Airbnbs on the market, and the more it's like, it's becoming an in thing now to have an Airbnb. And I think what really sets us apart as well is like the guest experience. We love feedback. And I think at the start we were like, you know, these were our babies and we put so much effort into them, and we were so cut when someone would, you know, give us a 3-star review. We're like,
Bad review. How
dare you say that you had so much opportunity to message us and you didn't, and you go into the review. But now we've learned, like, it's good. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's not correct, but then other times it's like, oh wait, no, let's improve that. That definitely needs an improvement, and we do. And it's just that guest experience. You have to ensure that you're providing that service. You know, we're in hospitality essentially, and you need to really think not of yourself, but of the guest and how to better their experience, because there's so much competition.
So you need to stand out.
What makes you stand out? What's your point of difference?
Exactly right.
It's true.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, I don't know if it's maybe because of our backgrounds as well, being in sales, but we are good at that. Like we're good at sort of trying to see the bigger picture and, you know, how can we accommodate different things for different people? And it's like I don't know, it's like maybe like a psychology thing or something, but you need to really understand where people are coming from, and be able to get on that level and relate and change and adapt to everything.
Absolutely. I think that's emotional intelligence to an extent as well. And something you definitely pick up when, you know, with their background in sales. And like you said, I love your story of how young you were when you started. I'm like, maybe we should throw our kids into like a call center, you know, when they're at that age, because of the skill level that you gain, you know, from being in that environment.
Constant rejection as well.
That rejection,
But I think number one skill to have
for character
above everything is being able to talk and relate to people.
It really is.
People is everything. Doesn't matter what you do.
Your people skills.
People
need
skills
them.
is so important.
Yeah.
So
Relationship wins I call them $1 million relationships, you know, because you just don't know when that relationship, that partnership is going to open up massive doors. I mean, we're in the early stages of hopefully building this fund here, and that's going to allow us to do incredible things, and that's come about through one or two relationships, which is opening the door to for us to do really huge, significant projects, you know, and that's the power of that emotional intelligence, that relationship
That's
piece.
right. I read a quote just yesterday. I think it was Simon Sinek. I don't think I ever say his surname properly. You know Simon?
No,
Yeah, the business, just tons of books out. Saw a quote yesterday, and it said, if you don't understand people, you don't understand business.
absolutely.
It's without people, it goes hand in hand, really.
So true.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
I wanted to ask you guys, because you know, we know that the scale is coming, right? So it's only a matter of time before some of the things that you dream about, because this is a dream for the business, right?
Yeah.
But the business dream is there to enable some of the passions that the two of you have, right? So what does that look like? Like, in terms of the future, when things start to really shift, and I guess your financial position goes to that next level, what are the passions and the things that you'd love to do? You know, is it kind of travel? Is it lifestyle stuff? Is it like impact on your family? Like where do you want to?
I think
that resource. What do you want to
it's
use
a bit
for?
for everything. When you really think about it.
sure.
I think there's just one particular thing that comes to mind. I think at the start it'll be the travel and, you know, the exciting things, you know, buy a couple of materialistic things that, you know, but that will kind of wear off, and eventually it's kind of just setting ourselves up for the future and, you know, ensuring that the business is there, it's cash flowing, which it is, but also looking after our families, you know, and I mean, we've talked about that so many times.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that just popped into my mind when you just asked that question as well is Cash and I have spoken a lot about, you know, going in and starting to buy property together. And still, you know, do the same thing, like short-term rentals, but with our own properties, or even like buy a small building, etc. So that's definitely, like, we want to build long-term, sustainable wealth. Essentially.
Which is,
by acquiring assets.
Correct.
This is a powerful conversation, because a lot of people often say to me, in fact, I had this conversation with a couple I met with yesterday, and the lady asked me, why do you, if you can afford to buy properties, why do you do rent to rent? And I was explaining, both are so important, right? The rent to rent allows us to grow our cash flow, and I never want to stop scaling our cash flow, and you'll never scale cash flow in the way that you can from rent to rent, from buying the properties. But the purchasing of the properties is, like you say, it's about building that long-term wealth and the ownership and the legacy, right? So the combination of the two is extremely powerful. If you just go and take your first pot of money and buy a single property, it can really kind of hamstring your journey and slow you down. And so sometimes thinking a little bit bigger, and it's not.
And we can say that because we've got experience. We bought a house and land and all that built, and it was like you just don't have much money left over to actually grow the cash flow, like you were talking about.
And when you look at hotels, for example, people think of this kind of rent to rent or arbitrage model as kind of a new thing, and things like Uber have popularized it, obviously, like they leverage other people's cars and they make money from it. But the truth is, hotels have been doing this for decades and centuries. And 90% of their portfolios are leased. And they own like some flagship properties, right? And that's kind of what cements their kind of, the assets, the asset collection, but it's the cash flow comes from the 90% of the lease properties. So, So I think that's a really powerful education piece for people kind of listening in.
And something that you guys have obviously caught on to. Running with that. So
for sure. You hear about horror stories, right? When people gain success and they blow it all. They're like, oh my God, you're back at square one again. And I think we've, like, not to get too deep, but we've come from like broken families and things like that, and things haven't really played out in a good way. So I think we just want like stability and build that long-term wealth and peace of mind for ourselves, our families, our children. Which is that's like kind of like the fire. That's what kind of gets us going. It's pushing us to do what we do. Like the flashy stuff and all that's all well and good, but it's like
It only lasts, like you said, a little while.
But when it's not deep down what we truly want, because we want way bigger and more meaningful things than that.
Yeah,
for sure. So that's our fire.
Yeah.
I love that.
Come on.
Then this is why they make such an incredible team and business partnership. So it's good. So guys, you have been, incredible in sharing your experience, of building an Airbnb business. For anyone watching this who wants to start, what would your top tips be for them?
Really good question. I think personally my top tip would be just stick at it.
Yeah.
Be a sponge.
Yeah.
I think the best thing that we did was, lean on and partner with people in the industry that are already way more advanced than us, that can help us and guide us and, give us that advice to ensure that we grow.
Yeah.
So I think definitely, there's going to be some things that maybe don't go as planned and you might seem like your whole world is crashing down, but stick at it and try and find those people, even if it's following heaps of people on social media, find those people that you can be a sponge to and really learn from.
It's good advice.
That's good.
Yeah.
And actually just take the risk and do it, right? Like, just do it. I mean, that's hard for us to say, but like you actually have to take the risk and do it. Otherwise, you're still going to be in the same situation you're in 3 months' time if you don't take the risk. My best top tip would be to invest in high quality furniture from get-go. I think initially when we started our business, we were cutting corners and thought,
And that was just because we were on a budget and,
correct.
it was
Exactly. At the start, we didn't have the funds. So we're like, what looks good, but it doesn't cost a lot, and
absolutely.
we've, learned over time that through the reviews, unfortunately, that people want a really good experience, but also if they're paying a premium, they want really good high quality furniture, for sure. So I think we've learnt the hard way, but that would be my best advice.
Well, there's nothing worse, is there, than coming to this beautiful aesthetic property, and then you sit on the sofa and you get a shot.
On the bed. Yeah, literally.
And it's like, and the bedspread looks amazing, but then you lie down and you're like,
stiff ass.
Absolutely. It's so important.
How amazing is that feeling though, when you go to like a premium
Hotel,
stay,
for example.
like top quality hotel, and you like lie back on the bed and you're like, and that's
100%.
what that's what you guys are going for.
Yeah, so there's obviously some things when it comes to decorating that you can compromise on. So get the cheapest, plan, as long as it kind of looks real. Artificial, we're talking about real. I would advise against real plants. It's just the upkeep of that's impossible.
Yeah, never gonna happen.
Never compromise on the bed.
No.
Never compromise on the sofa.
Correct.
Like people want, they go away to get an escape, a holiday, or get away from their home, and they want comfort.
And do you know what I'm loving these days?
What?
The mega TV. Big TV.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's...
TVs. I remember when I was doing the fit outs and you're like, it's a 60-inch, right? And it's a small bedroom. It's got a single bed. We can't have the
60
TV,
inches is nothing
the
now. I'm
TV
like
as big as the
75,
bed.
80.
No, we can't have the TV as big as the bed, right? Someone in the room, TV's like...
Welcome to our cinema.
You're right.
Literally. Love it. It's so funny.
Oh, Cash and Eilish, this has been incredible.
Thank you so much.
So lovely to have you guys.
Thank you for having us.
First in-person interview.
One of many.
And can't wait until we're back. And it's going to be a very different conversation.
Yeah, the 40 coffees and beyond, because what we know, like even just the journey that I've been on with you guys and having you here today, this is just the beginning of what you guys are going to accomplish.
Absolutely.
It's already done, right? It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
Yeah, correct.
Everything that you've been putting into place and now the steps that you're taking, it's, I'm excited to be on the other side of it with you guys. And I'm we've watched this journey with many others, like getting to that place of real power in this industry. And, maybe it'll be, you guys are hosting us because we're at the top of the mountain and we're like,
One Lux podcast.
how do we get to your level?
But this is the beauty of coaching and mentoring and being able to sew back, right? Because you'll be able to, like in just the top tips that you've shared with someone who's just starting out, as you grow, you obviously with that experience, you gain that knowledge that you can then pass down.
Yeah.
And I think there's nothing better than that. It's almost, it's like for us having kids, it's leaving a legacy. And I think it speaks volumes to even just the community and the course and the coaches that are there giving back. There's nothing more rewarding than seeing you guys one day superseding what we've done. I think that is what's the word I'm looking for? Like you've done well as a mentor.
Absolutely.
When your mentees have overtaken what you.
So true.
100%. That's when the mentee becomes the sensei. And actually, being honest, that's what we want, right?
That's
At the end of the day. So
sure.
go all the way, guys.
We will.
Yeah, we will. Don't you worry.
You better. No, I love that. And so if anyone wants to book a stay in Sydney in one of your beautiful properties, where can they find you guys?
It's actually funny that you say that because we have just invested into our own booking website.
It is an amazing website, I will say that.
And it's been, we've been through it. We've put in a lot of effort with this company to make sure that it is perfect. And it's something that's really meaningful to us because we want to be able to have the whole experience on us, on our company from start to finish.
Yeah, that's good.
So, when you're working with Airbnb and bookings.com, it's good to have some of that step away as well and it be all about you and One Luxe Stay. So if you just Google onoluxestay.com, you will find us. And we can't wait to host people directly, for sure.
And the day's coming where 40-50% plus of your overall bookings will be coming directly through that One Luxe Stay website, that direct booking power.
Exactly. And another thing, just to touch on that, the reason why we invested into a direct booking website was to kind of showcase the brand more, to actually build a brand itself because we use, and it's the only starting point initially to gain, success and bookings is to partner with Airbnb, bookings.com, TripAdvisor, but you do have to pay a percentage. Of course, that's like your commission. But obviously for those, when you're in the position in the future and you do grow and you do want to scale, you want to kind of step away and build that brand.
Yeah, for sure.
Save that money. So that's the reason why we did.
And as the portfolio gets bigger, that saving of 15% can represent tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
Literally, a lot.
For sure.
And your Instagram handle as well?
One Luxe Stay.
One Luxe Stay. So we'll bring all that up on the screen. And again, I want to say thank you so much, especially for flying all the way from Sydney.
Thank you for having us. We love it.
It means a lot that you guys have put the effort to come and be here with us. So we appreciate that. And
thank you.
Especially being your first trip to Perth as well.
I know, how exciting.
Yeah.
But thank you for having us. Honestly, it's been awesome. And we just watch this space, everyone, because it's coming.
Yeah, that's it.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this episode with Cash and Eilish of One Luxe Stay. They've been incredible, haven't they?
Awesome. Amazing.
Yeah, so it's very insightful and I hope you got a lot out of that. Don't forget to join us next week for our next guest. And please like and subscribe and share this episode with anyone, family, friends, anyone you know who's interested in getting started in Airbnb.